So, Stu, thank goodness the Surgeon General has come out with that warning that marriage and having children could be hazardous to your health.
Everything that's good is bad, Glenn. They could just say that instead. What is it? Everything is solid is liquid, and
Yeah.
That is where
up
we are.
will be down, down will be up, and everything that is solid will be liquid. That is where we are. Now, being a parent is hazardous to your health. And do you know why? Because parents both have to, work 2 jobs and then take care of their kids. And it's so stressful, it cuts years of their life off. So, do you know what their suggestion is?
Robots? Robot children?
Right? Elon Musk, I told you he was in on it. No, their suggestion is that you give the government more money and they'll watch your kids for you. Now, of all of the ideas you could come up with, that one's the worst. I mean, just not having kids is really evil and bad, if that's what your message is. But, well, if you're going to have kids, give them to us to care for.
Give them to us. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That's evil.
I want to give it to the people who came up with the Epstein client list.
Right.
Those people are the ones I want to give my kids to.
Yeah.
I do feel like that is how the Matrix probably started, right? Like you just start giving your kids over to the government, and then suddenly they're on a giant wall with tubes going into them and fueling.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, listen to this. Did you hear here in Texas, in the Texas Spring Independent School District, these kids, preschool, they started coming home and they would not sleep at night. And the parents are like, what the hell is going on with my kid? And then somebody else is like, what the hell is happening with my kid? And then one of the kids says, look, I got my sleepy sticker. Your what? Teachers were actually giving the kids sleeping stickers to put them asleep. So when you would come in, you drop your child off, they go, who's going to go to sleepy sleep? Yeah, you are. And they put a sticker on the kid. It releases melatonin and other things and put all the kids to sleep. Are you kidding me? And these are the people that care about our children more than you do. Isabel Brown is somebody who I'll tell you, I have seen the official birth of one star in my career that I think is massive and going to be even bigger.
Thanks, man.
Not
when
you.
you say
it's Allie Beth Stuckey, and I've been watching this other talent for a while now, and I think she is huge. I think she is one of the best commentators and knows how to use the medium probably better than anybody else. Isabel Brown. And she's the host of the Isabel Brown Show.
It's the end of her career right here. And when you get an intro like that from Glenn Beck, it's all
You're
over.
Dead. Mm-hmm. You're dead. It's over, Isabel. Welcome to the program. How are you?
I am so great, Glenn. Huge fan of yours, and thank you for those kind words. What a wonderful way to start my Friday.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, I watch your stuff online, and you really get it. You're very, very smart. You're relatable. You know how the medium works. I mean, you have it all. You have it all. So
thank you very much.
You bet. So let me talk to you about a couple of things that I just don't understand that are going on in society. One of them is now the Surgeon General's warning about how having kids can be hazardous to your health. So give them to us. Kind of sounds like a bad idea.
One would think, although I say quite often, especially in speaking with my own generation, that we live in what I call the upside down, in this parallel universe where lies have become truth and truth have become lies. Just a few weeks ago, the United States Surgeon General, the top physician for our country, did in fact actually put out an official health warning, a declaration that parenting is hazardous for your health as a young adult because, get this, it makes you more lonely and isolated than if you never had children at all and instead were just alone. And I find this incredibly concerning. I was pre-med in college and have 2 degrees in biomedical sciences and yearned to be a physician. I just got married at the end of June, and I'm thinking about this next stage of my life as well. But
why would you go into media like you are? What is wrong with you? You had an out. The rest of us schlubs could do nothing else.
Too.
Yeah.
It's just as crazy.
Right.
But, I'm in this phase of my life, and I'm watching all my friends go through this, and it is just alarming to me the strategic advantage that the media and the machine of the government are using to convince you that marriage and family, the most important bedrock foundation of our society, is somehow bad for you and going to destroy your life.
Well, I've put the label on my children's foreheads, just to remind people, if you're thinking about having a kid, look at my forehead, Surgeon General warning. I think they should. I think they should all have it. Also, the solution is, if you're gonna have kids, because everybody is working, 2 jobs. Their solution is, well, you take some of the stress off. Let us take care of them. That's a horrid idea. How about the idea of having a country where one income can actually support a family instead of maybe 3 or 3.5 incomes supporting a family? Doesn't it seem like a better goal?
One would hope, but unfortunately, it seems our elected officials in particular are asking all of the wrong questions about how to fix these ailments in society. Their answer is always the same: more government, more regulation, more of the big gov thumb on your day-to-day life. And the sad reality is, I really do believe that the United States of America is not the country I grew up in. It has the capacity to be, and that's what we're fighting for every day, to go from the upside down to right side up again. But if we keep continuing in this trajectory, we are leading what I often call a race to the bottom for the developed world. And I think it shows in our crime rates, in our fertility rate plummeting to an all-time low, in our marriage rates currently standing at an all-time low, the lowest they've ever been since 1867. We're starting to have the conversation finally about nutrition and food and pharmaceuticals, and that's fantastic. But what's really disheartening to me, I think, is that so many of the people older than us, older than our generation, haven't realized that these problems have been festering under the surface for decades because good people have sat down and been quiet and done nothing. And I hope that it's not too late for us to tell the truth to the world that desperately needs to hear it.
So how do you think Gen Z is going to vote? What is connecting with, people under 30 that are going to vote?
I am incredibly optimistic about Gen Z, which I often get a lot of scorn for, particularly when I speak on cable television and mainstream media. I actually came out with a book in March called The End of the Alphabet: How Gen Z Can Save America, making the case that we are America's next great generation. And they've been studying these trends for the past several election cycles that are proving Gen Z is actually the most culturally and politically conservative generation we've seen since World War II. Wow. There is a massive pendulum swing happening before our eyes, and I think we're first and foremost seeing that in this election with young men who are overwhelmingly politically conservative. So when I'm seeing these conversations happening on college campuses and online, where I spend most of my time with my peers, what I'm seeing people struggle with is this sense of we don't live in the same country that the people running for office claim we still do. They've been in office longer than twice the time we've been alive, and they are wildly out of touch with the financial struggles we're dealing with the cultural tug of war we're dealing with. What I think people are looking for under 30 right now more than anything is a sense of a new generation of leadership, new ideas, who is in touch with the cultural battles we're fighting today, and being willing to just tell the truth when everyone in positions of power seems unwilling to do that right now.
So that would go in favor of the people that Trump is surrounding himself with, I would imagine. RFK Jr., even though he's an older guy, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk. Is that translating at all in favor of Donald Trump?
It certainly is. And this idea of a unity party, I think, is a fascinating idea from a young person's perspective as well. when you're seeing this Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Elon Musk, Donald Trump coalition start to build, it's almost in a sense breaking the two-party system, which I think has been a fearful conversation for a lot of people in politics up to this point, because we don't know what happens after the two-party system. But in reality, creates a much better opportunity for coalition and conversation for better ideas to come to the surface, rather than the same 4 or 5 people constantly pulling the strings of power in both political parties. If anything, has really been an eye-opening experience since 2015, when we've had the curtain pulled back a bit in the era of Trumpian politics. What we talk about in Washington as a uniparty is absolutely real. And all of the attack we're seeing on young people right now is coming really from a bipartisan perspective in many ways. The fight to ban TikTok, the fight to censor you for misinformation, the fight to make you inject your arm with these crazy substances. We don't know what's going to happen 4 or 5 years down the line. This is coming from both political parties, and I think young people are speaking up to realize it's time for something new.
You know, it's really interesting. They're conservative, but it's almost the same thing as the hippie movement back in the 60s, except this time it's conservative. And it's like, look, we want to be natural. We want to have freedom. We'd like to have peace. We just want to get back to what's real. And in some ways, except for the drug part, that's kind of what the hippies were. And don't believe anybody over 30 was, what Nancy Pelosi was saying. And now I guess it's, you have to believe them until they're at 90 or maybe 100. But it's interesting to me. I think Generation Z is the revolution. I mean, are you familiar with the fourth turning and the pendulum?
I sure am, yes.
They are the hero generation. They are. They just haven't been given the opportunity to step up to the plate yet. But I'm telling you, they're going to save us.
Absolutely correct. And I love the hippie analogy, because the truth is, Glenn, I don't know that the hippie movement really ever went away. The culture we're living in today sure has changed a whole lot since we've thought about the rebelliousness of the 1970s and 1980s. But truly, to be a punk rock, radical, countercultural individual today is to stick it to the man and say enough to the establishment. Today, that just happens to look like getting married and starting your own business and saying no to a $250,000 degree in underwater lesbian basket weaving and going to church on Sunday and eating real food. This is the type of revolution we're seeing with Generation Z, and it's so inspiring to see take root and take place because it's the same origin that our country was itself founded upon. This idea of speaking truth to power and fighting for liberty for the next generation. Our founding fathers in 1776 were not 85 or 90 years old like we're seeing in Congress today. They themselves were 18, 19, 21, 25 years old. So Vivek Ramaswamy often says that we are in the midst of a 1776 movement.
We are.
And I couldn't see anything more obvious than that in 2024.
It's great to talk to you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I mean everything I say. I think you are a superstar. Don't go to medicine. We need your voice. I think your voice is very important. Isabel Brown, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
God bless.